everyone, and welcome to Be My Guest with me, Mary Honan, on LíR Media TV, supporting the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary. And my special guests today are Linda Ball and Brian Hoban, both from Limerick. Hi, Linda and Brian.
Hi, Mary. How are you? I'm correcting you there straight away now in case people think Brian Hoban has changed and grown a beard. You said Brian Hoban. It's Brian Shinners.
Did I say Brian Hoban?
Yeah, you did.
I thought I said Linda Hoban. Oh, yeah, I did. No,
you did.
Linda Ball-Hoban and Brian Shinners. How
are you, Mary?
Hi, Mary.
I'm so confused between the Brian behind me.
I know.
So many Brians.
Exactly. I have too many Brians in my life, Mary.
Can a girl have too many Brians?
Well, that's very true, isn't it?
It is. I love your background, Linda. I always love that in your house, the musical cleft.
Oh, thanks, Mary.
Fabulous.
Yeah. You know, this house is a party house, Mary. Anytime you've been here, it's been for a party. So, what is it? Dance like nobody is watching. Love like, huh?
Yeah, I missed your party this year. COVID knocked anything into.
No, but sure, I had to cancel that, Mary. So the way I'm looking at it is now, my birthday isn't until next year.
That's it. We're all
so
looking at
we'll
that.
celebrate. We'll celebrate next year. There's no way I'm going to be at the loss of a party.
We'll make up
my
first.
birthday was in June, and I lost out on it. So I said, you know, we're just going to forget about this year, and we're a year younger next year. So
write it off, exactly.
Exactly. But no better woman for a party, Linda. You're great.
I love to party, Mary. You know me, Champagne Charlie.
She's the best hostess as well, yeah.
Hostess.
No, your life is for living.
Yeah.
I think that's all. I think the dancing community, though, in fairness, even though, you know, it's so competitive and whatever, we still all manage to have a great time and good fun.
Yeah, the competition is only in competition. Cara Scanlon said that about herself and Danny. She said, he's my best friend in the world, she said, when we're not competing. But she said, times, she said, at the World one year when he said, I'm always second-hand rows, getting second. And she said, there he was, and I'm trying to get a recall, she said, and he's completely
I know, seriously, the best of friends are through dancing, that's for sure.
Well, this is it. We were saying, what other organization could you belong to, or what other job would you have that you can have from the cradle to the grave?
And that, you know what, very valid point. That's very, very true.
You know, we're in it since we're 4 years of age, up to, God forbid, when you die. You know, you could be involved in Irish dancing.
Exactly.
If you live that long.
And it's the one thing that's very hard to, I think when you have the bug, as I call it, it's the one thing that's very hard to pull away from. That's what I find personally. You just have a love for it, and you know, sometimes, of course, there's times you get sick of it and you're like, oh God, I wish I didn't have to do this. And, you know, the teaching is hard and whatever.
You're coughing there.
Yeah. Do you know what, Mary? He needs a drop of Prosecco.
I'm so glad you brought the Prosecco. I don't drink, but I thought, is she actually going to drink Prosecco, like I said?
Well, you know what?
It's 1 o'clock.
It's Prosecco somewhere. It's Prosecco time somewhere, Mary. So cheers.
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 Oh, look at that. The green glass. I have a green cup and it vanishes in the green screen.
Oh, I see it. That's cool.
Isn't it cool? Good. It's that glass. But it's actually
very clever.
It's heavy green. But Linda, Brian, tell me about your journeys into Irish dancing. We'll start with you, Linda, seeing as you were Brian's teacher and now you're his partner in business. How did you start?
Well, Mary, I started dancing at the age of 3. My mum used to dance for the Dalton School back in the day. You'd remember the Daltons, yeah?
Yeah.
Mammy danced for them. And you'll remember back then, the most prestigious award would have been the Munster Belt. We all used to queue outside Féile to watch that Munster Belt. And Mammy used to take me as a child to see this competition. And Frances Fleming would have been one of the participants at the time. And Mammy said, you know what? She said, I'm going to start you with Irish dancing and I'm going to send you to Frances Fleming. Yeah. So it so happened I was a flower girl at a wedding at the age of whatever, 3.5, 4. And Frances's sister-in-law, Rita Jeffers, was at the wedding and spotted me up on the floor. I was obviously hopping around or whatever. I showed a flair for music and rhythm and whatever. Yeah. And she came over to Mammy and she said, you need to start her at dancing.
That's Linda up there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there she is, the lady herself. So anyway, she told Mammy where Fran held her classes, which was up in the Fair Green.
Fair Green, yeah, just beside
in Limerick City. Yeah, just next to you. And Mammy brought me up the following, whatever it was, Monday or Tuesday. I think Monday and Thursdays used to be our days for dancing. So that's where I started my dancing journey, was 18 the Fair Green under Frances Fleming. Yeah. And you know what? She was an amazing, there she is there. She's actually wearing the Munster belt in that, Mary. Yeah. And Frances danced for Tony and Rose Nolan herself. Yeah.
She went to Rose,
yeah, Frances danced for Tony and Rose Nolan. Yeah. So basically it just went from strength to strength, and I stayed with Frances, and we built a wonderful relationship. She was really like a second mom to me.
She was, very close.
Oh yeah, definitely, very close. The woman
that called it as it was, Linda.
Oh, she held no punches. Anyone that knows Frances knows how direct she was. And you know what? Sometimes it wasn't the right thing, but you know what? There was always kind of truth somewhere behind it. But you know, she shot from the hip, and you either were able to take her or you didn't. But she was a character. She was an absolute character, and we loved her dearly.
And she fought her illness like a tiger.
She did. She was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was in her early 40s.
Yeah.
And she kind of took a step back then. You know, we used to help out with the classes, like Noreen Nolan would have been another pupil. Noreen is now living in England. Yeah, she would have helped out with classes. And then Fran obviously came to thinking, right, I've had enough of the dancing. You know, her health was more perfect reason for her to decide to retire.
Yeah.
So she then passed on some of her classes. She used to teach, her main class was the Fair Green.
Yeah.
And she used to teach.
Sorry for interrupting, Linda. She was one of the first people I ever knew that had their own studio.
That's right. That's right.
Stage in it as well.
Little stage, yeah.
Her father.
Yeah, we used to have our class feshes there.
Her father used to have a sweet shop attached to
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because my mum's friend lived across the road, Deirdre Sheehan's aunt, Peggy. And
Peggy
sent across for Cullen's powder for Peggy for her headache.
That's right.
Across to Fleming's shop, and
yeah, that's right, Mr. That's right.
Hello to her, and she had the stage, and I thought that was the first time I'd seen anyone with a stage and a dancing hall attached to their house.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. And we had, you know what, we had wonderful memories from that hall, and really good fun times. You know, the competition, yes, of course it's important. That's what thrives, it makes us all thrive and want us to become better dancers, better teachers, better adjudicators. But Fran had a way of making you love it. You were passionate about it. You were passionate about what you did. You know, you didn't just do it to keep your mother happy. or to keep your teacher happy.
Yeah.
You did it because you loved it. Deep down, you loved it yourself.
But I think it was instinctive in you, and it was instinctive in me and others. You know, it's something you can teach a person to love, and you can teach them to love by watching, by setting a good example. But I think some people either do end up loving it, and some people can just pull away. I don't know how people can pull away from it, because 5 minutes inside an effect again, and you're back dragged into it again. Brian, what was your journey?
Well, yeah, I grew up in Newport in County Tipperary, so I came from like a real musical and dance background.
Tipperary man.
A Tipperary man, yeah, strictly.
We won't go that.
Just on the border of Limerick. But my dad is a musician. He's a button accordion player, so I kind of got the music side there. And my mother, I did Irish dancing also. I think she might have actually done a few classes for Francis.
She could have done, yeah.
I think near the end, yeah. So I guess like a lot of other boys in my hometown back then, I only went to Irish dance at the start, the very first couple of lessons, because my sister did it. So my sister was 2 years older, and she went off with all her friends to Linda had a class in the community centre in Newport. And I think I just went along the second or third week. Ejel said there was another boy in the class, so I felt comfortable enough to go in. As soon as she said there was another boy in the class, I kind of did everything with her at the time. There was only 2 of us. And yeah, I remember taking my first class. I must be only about 4 years of age.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mammy would have taught him. My mum, as you know, Geraldine.
Yeah.
Mam used to take all the beginners in Newport first. That was back in the day when you had fine, big, lucrative classes, Mary.
Lovely.
Not like that anymore.
No.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but Mammy used to take the beginners. So any new kids went to Mammy first.
Yeah.
And she taught Brian.
Yeah, so I remember my first class went into Geraldine. She still looks the same today. She hasn't aged at all.
Hasn't changed a bit. I'm looking for a
No, I still remember her as Geraldine, yeah. And yeah, I went into her and did my hop bunch trees. And I remember if you got onto a certain level, if you improved really fast, eventually there was the right side of the hall and the left side of the hall. And the right side of the hall, Geraldine taught the beginners. And then if you were good enough, you were moved over to the left side of the hall. So the aim was to Linda. So the aim was always to try to be pushed over to the left side. So I don't think it was that too far long gone. I was moved over to the left side. Yeah.
He had natural talent straight away, Mary.
There's
That's
Geraldine.
Geraldine. That's your mum.
That's
there.
Mom, yeah, that's Mom.
Yeah, but you know, isn't it great that the two of you? I mean, you stayed. I know we were talking about the positivity, I suppose, of being with other schools as well, and not, you know, it's not all negative when you don't stay with the same teacher all your life. It's not a negative. It's not a positive. There's positives and negatives with everything. But the two of you, you stayed with Francis your whole dancing career, and Brian stayed with you your whole dancing career, and that's, you know, that shows incredible loyalty. Number one, do you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually great. But you have a great kind of party atmosphere, I'd say, with your school anyway. Your dancers are, Linda, get a sense of more than just competition. It's
yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what, Brian was the pupil now, so I let him answer that one, because you know firsthand what way.
It's like it's just such an amazing team spirit in Fleming Ball, and not just even down to like the dancing and going to all the events together. Even when I was younger anyway, my mother's generation, the friendships they had, they, like, to this day they still talk about the stories of all the funny stories they had through the years, going to the Munster Championships or going and traveling to the Great Britons or the Worlds. And a lot of the time they think back on the social times and the good times and the crack they had.
About his mother's generation is making me Brian, stop
the way I feel, Mary, will you stop?
Think of him, my mother's generation, as if she was Methuselah.
No.
She's far from it.
Not at all. But it's really changed in these times.
Back in the dark old ages.
No. But no, the crack was, and the bond was the most important thing with Fleming Ball all through the years. It's funny when I see people transferring now and stuff, like transferring never even came into my mind, or never even crossed my mind through the whole 20 years that I competed, or whatever it was, 17 years that I competed. I think I was just very happy with the dancers around me and with Linda. And at the end of the day, like, I had some times where I had really disappointments and really like thought about giving up, and competition didn't go your way, or there was politics. I dealt with all that, but at the end of the day, I love dancing more than just that one result. So I always just kind of pick myself up, and that's something I think that kids have to learn. That's something that Linda taught me, that it's not about just one bad result on the day, that you pick yourself up and you might have a good day the next day again. And that the reason I went back was not for that one isolated fest, was because I loved Irish dancing, and it was always the bigger picture.
And as well as that, to learn how to accept defeat gracefully and accept victory,
of course,
gracefully.
Disappointments in life, you're always going to face them.
But Mary, in my opinion, that strengthens a person's character.
Absolutely.
I mean, no one's life is full of roses. Like, we all wish that we had the lovely, perfect life and everything went our way. And every time you went to a fesh, we came out with flying colours. That's not life. It's not realistic.
No, and I don't think children who don't go to dancing or don't go to some sport, whether it's skating or ballet or not so much ballet, but where you're competing with each other, I think competition is healthy, because it teaches you.
It's character building. It really is.
It's good to lose. It's good to lose, because, I mean, if you're winning all the time, you have no experience of what it's like to get a disappointment. And you are, as you say, Linda, you're going to be disappointed at some stage throughout life.
Yeah.
You fall for somebody who doesn't fall for you, or who goes off with somebody else, or whatever happens in your life, you're prepared for more because you've been through a competition scene. You're able to cover up.
Yes, yeah. You build up, like, the one thing I've always said to my kids, going back from the first few, going back, I got my TCRG in 1991.
Okay.
And from the get-go, I was like, whatever you get on that stage, put a smile on your face. If your heart is breaking, you can cry when you come down. Yeah. You can go into the bathroom and you can cry. But on that stage, you smile, you be gracious, and you say thank you.
Yeah.
And that has always, and I understand kids being disappointed. There's no one more disappointed than them but me. I mean, all we want is success for our pupils.
Yeah.
But it's not realistic. It's not realistic. And
disappointed, and that.
Of course, and you see their little faces. Yeah, 100%, 100%. But you know what, Mary? It's all part and parcel of it. It's part of the competition. You'll have good days, you'll have bad days, you'll have wonderful days.
Yeah.
And the days that are the wonderful days, you make the most of them and you celebrate till dawn.
Yeah.
And even longer. I remember you and I, Linda, were both in Bunratty Castle, and I'm just looking at that photograph. I put that in there as well, of you and me.
The good old days, Mary.
Olive Cowper and Jerstack and
Noel is there.
Noel is there, and
I think Noel Fogarty, Linda O'Mahony,
Julie,
our lovely Julianne, who's gone to her rest. God rest her. Yeah,
hard to believe. And Noel Fogarty and Linda, isn't it?
Yeah,
Linda.
I'm trying to make. Oh, that's Olive. Is it Olive Cowper? Oh, that's you in the front with Noel. Yeah,
Olive Cowper. But that was the reunion of the legends of the castle reunion.
Mary, that was, would you believe that was 9 years ago?
9 years, I know. I was working there 9 years ago. But tell me, how did you love Bunratty as much as me?
I did, Mary. We still talk about the trips. I mean, back in the day, back in the good old days, when there was always the trips and the Asta Convention and all of that. I mean, seriously, it was magic.
I don't think
it was magic.
Days like it. They were just.
Oh, stop.
We didn't even.
Best job in the world,
Brian, we didn't even have to. When I went, we didn't even have to go up to the desk and hand in our passports. I didn't know what it was to actually hand in a passport at the desk until I actually went on my first judging. away.
Yeah.
Because up to then, anytime I'd flown, Jerry O'Brien used to take our
Shannon.
office over in the
That's
corner,
right.
and he'd have a whole pile of them, and he'd often he'd do all the work, and he'd come back, and we were shepherded around, and we just got up, had showers, got dressed, turned up at performances, and went for meals and had parties.
I know, you get spoiled.
We were spoiled rotten, Brian.
We were spoiled rotten. We were, But Brian went on and danced in the Cayley after Mary. I gave up the Cayley back in the year I got married, actually, 93.
Yeah.
I think I started in 87.
I gave up in 92 when Mum and Dad, Dad died and Mum was dying, and she died in 93.
That's right. We were there together.
We were, and I just gave up just before that. I'd probably
just the year before me.
Yeah.
But then I was lucky enough then that a lot of my ex-pupils all got summer jobs in Bunratty, including Brian. You know, Breed Hickey, Kelly MacDonald, Deirdre Ryan, all of them, they all danced there.
Connor Stack.
Eleanor Rooney, Ellen Rochizzo, Amy Rochizzo, they all worked there for a season.
There now, isn't he? Is it Connor still?
Pardon?
Is Connor still there, Connor Stack?
Connor was there for a term last year, Well, you see, this year, it didn't even get a chance to get going, Mary. As you know, it's gone for the season. So please God, it'll all come back up and running stronger than ever next year. Please God.
Oh yeah, it was a great. I even did up to last year. Like I did a few weeks last year as well, because anytime I was home, I would go back to Bunratty because it was the best job ever. So we loved it.
Like a job, Brian.
It wasn't. Yeah.
When I remember Carmel Gall joining. I mean, she was going out with Nigel at the time, and they used to go away on holidays, and they used to travel here and travel there. I didn't take a day off.
That's right. We didn't. We worked solid.
I look back on it now, and I think, God, do you know, in the 14 years I was there, I'd say, apart from when you'd be off for the summer or the winter, and even then you were doing tours. Or
Mary, you were afraid to ask for a night off. I remember doing, and you'd have double Cayleys. I remember if I was going somewhere, I would be a nervous wreck going in to ask Jerry O'Brien, could I have a night off? Because it might have been a really busy season. And
I don't remember ever asking for a night off. No,
honest to God. But you know what, Mary, it was all fantastic.
I think I would have felt I missed out on something. You remember certain things. I remember the 1990 World Cup. Was it? Yeah, 1990. And when the penalty shootout to bring us into the quarterfinal. And Jerry O'Brien couldn't watch it. The only one who could watch it was Clem Sullivan, and he had a heart bypass. And we were on our knees outside the tarmac praying, please let O'Leary score the goal. You remember. And
they were great.
And the bus loads of the coach loads, the drivers wouldn't drive the coach down for the show until the match.
That's right. Until the match was over. That's right. Yeah. No, it was great.
All hours that night.
Well, do you know what, Mary? That back in the day, that was our river dance.
That was our river dance, and it wasn't long.
The way you talk about that reminds me of my journey with river dance, because when I joined Bunratty as a summer show, we didn't get the trips and abroad. I think that I missed that era just by
a few years. Because they tightened up. They were flamboyant when we were there. I mean, I was there from 1980 until 1990. Early 1980 until 1992 when Dad died, and I tell you, they were so, like, there wasn't a year that there wasn't at least 2 or 3 trips. They were fantastic. And it was our brilliant. It was our river dance.
It was, yeah.
And it was the job that got me through like my college days as well, because it was such an ideal job that you could go out for 2 or 3 hours in the evening, as opposed to my other friends who had to work like 10 and 11 hour shifts for the same money. So I think I joined Bunratty in 2005, I was still actually in school. I think they were stuck for a boy, and I was just turning 16, and Linda managed to get me in. So I was so young and so lucky to have.
And your stack was the same, because I was in Bunratty with Aidan Culhan, and Aidan got married, and he left, and they were looking eventually for a boy, and I said, what about your stack? And they were saying, he was young at the time. I was saying, pretend you don't know what age he is. And he got in for one day, and he was there then for 12 years. You know, because they loved him. But it's funny the way things happen, but you know, it was our life. And I mean, I was working by day in Neodata from 8 to 4, and I used to get into a bus or get a lift out to Bunratty and be in costume for 5 until 5. Then we'd end up in the Shannon Shamrock afterwards.
Oh, you'd be in the Shannon Shamrock till 5 the following morning, Mary. We'd all be in the foyer with the sing-songs, and do you remember about that?
Harps,
all those
violins
and the harps, and when you think back, it was
no more singing. The banks of my lovely Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was fantastic. It was great times. It really, really was.
I miss it dreadfully. I do miss it because everything was tied around it. I suppose my parents were alive. Bunratty was fabulous. I had a day job. Life was great. And then, you know,
it changed.
Yeah, it completely
changed.
And I miss Bunratty. I miss the crowd that we had. The people around us. And
absolutely. It was great. Yeah, it was great. Well, look, the thing is, you know, isn't it great to have those memories to look back on, and that we can sit and chat about that?
And we're still friends with the same people from Bunratty.
Yeah, we are.
Totally the same,
Yeah. I was lucky and fortunate enough, Mary, to continue as choreographer for a number of years.
Yeah.
Actually up to last year, really. Brian then helped me with a few of the pieces, because we had to totally rejuvenate, of course, with river dance. Everyone didn't want to see just a treble reed step anymore. They wanted to see formations, just like you would see with river dance.
Yeah.
Exactly. So a few years ago, how many years ago maybe?
Like 4 years ago, wasn't it?
It was longer, Brian, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago maybe. We rejuvenated the whole show and kind of put in more river dance style routines,
and the music,
and the music was updated. Dennis Carey is now the musical director in there, and they did an a cappella piece. So you know what, it's a fantastic show, and it's great value for money, and a lot of people don't realize it's actually on our doorstep, Mary, and people don't realize it, you know.
Always amazing, and always packed houses, always. But Linda,
always.
How is COVID affecting you and Brian? How are you affected by it, class-wise, emotionally as well, I suppose, because you're a social butterfly, Linda, and and it's got to have an effect.
Will I go first? Well, Mary, funny enough, the day of my 50th birthday, everything shut down. So needless to say, I suppose I was still kind of on a high because it was my 50th birthday celebration. And, you know, we managed to have a small celebration between my immediate family here at home.
Yeah.
I don't think it really, I think the first few weeks you kind of go through it in a daze, because you're like, is this really happening? Because you've never experienced anything like it before. And then you're hearing about so many cases, and then you're hearing about people dying from it. And then it gets really scary, and you're going, what is going on here? How are we going to get out of this? So the first few weeks, I think you're kind of, you're learning about it, just like the whole country are learning about it. And then we'll say the shutdown, of course, everything was shut down, your classes, the whole lot.
Yeah.
And a few weeks had passed, and us as teachers, obviously we were keeping in touch with each other through phone calls, text messages, whatever. And we were like, we need to do something for the kids, because if we don't keep contact with them for their mental health, for them, just for their motivation, I'm thinking of them at home with their parents, trying to homeschool them. And we decided to do Zoom. Yeah. So we're a 4-teacher school now. two of my other ex-pupils, Therese Toohey and Don O'Sullivan, both of them teach with us. And we decided to do Zoom classes. So again, Zoom, totally alien to the whole thing. I've learned things about technology that seriously I never thought I'd be able to do in a lifetime.
Me too.
So we started Zoom, and the kids actually loved it. And again, we started with just doing maybe one class a week, just to see how we got on, because you have kids in all different areas, and then their internet service mightn't be as good in one area as another and all that. So we gave it a go.
Yeah.
And it worked fine. So we increased the classes to 2 classes a week. And we took our turns then as teachers to take the classes on a weekly basis, because it was good for the kids to keep in touch with us as well. And that they weren't just seeing my old head on the screen every Tuesday or Thursday.
No,
they were looking at the hand. It's a they were looking at the handsome Brian or the lovely pretty Donna and Therese. Do you know what I mean? So it was good for the kids. And look, phase 2 allowed us to kind of maybe do private classes, 1 teacher to 2 kids. Obviously with the social distancing, we wear our masks, we do the sanitizing, we go by all the guidelines. So we broke back into that then at phase 2.
Yeah.
And that was great, because the kids, there's nothing like kids being together in a studio. Okay, I know Zoom helped us out, certainly helped us out. But you know what, to see the smiles on their faces, and them, now they had to keep their 2 meter distance. I separated all the chairs in the studio, but they were still chatting away to each other. And it was just, you know what, it was heartwarming. I think my first private class that I came out, I had a lump in my throat, because I was like,
I know.
This is just, it was just so lovely for them to all see each other again.
The people that it's given them even a more appreciation of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Separated for so long.
Exactly.
And half the enjoyment of going into class is to see your other dance mates.
It is, and having the chat and the banter and whatever.
And they also learn off each other as well.
Of course they do.
The good kids, they watch each other and they want
to.
It brings them on, as opposed to just dancing to a screen at home.
Exactly.
Yeah, because exactly. Now the screen is handy for, I was talking at one stage to Terry and Philip about it. Philip loves the Zoom from the point of view, he can drill, he said, and he loves drilling. And and he can get them to watch their carriage,
and the foot placement,
without music. Terry, on the other hand, once he has them taught something, he wants to move on. He just gets bored. So he likes to see them traveling. And for him, it's of no use, and because he can't see them moving. And as well as that, music sometimes is at a different time to the dance. So it's different.
Yeah, that's what I found frustrating at times. That
was
time, or the music is the wrong.
This is it. And then if they have bad internet, Mary, you have, like, we have kids out further than Kildimo. They'd be back kind of the back of Pallaskenry, nearly near Askeaton. And then if their coverage was bad, it was a bit of a nightmare. But look, the thing is, we got through it. Now, not only was my livelihood as in dancing affected, as you know, my husband Brian, BH Staging, built stages. So he has literally right off the whole year.
The real Brian Hoban.
Brian Hoban, He had to literally write off the whole year, Mary, because I think his last fesh might have been the Sheila Hayes Memorial Fesh last February.
Right, yeah.
And after that, everything was gone.
That was his last.
So you know what I mean? Like, it's
helped at that fesh, and that was
that's right.
Brian did a fesh, because I had to cancel mine in September, and I thought, how am I going to tell Brian Hoban that?
Come here. He knew the whole year was a write-off anyway, Mary. So and there's a lot of people that have been impacted by the COVID. I mean, that's just us, both of us, our livelihoods kind of depend on Irish dancing. And we're not the only ones. I know there's the costume makers. I know there's
everyone.
Murray Tackett does tabulation and makes sashes, and class costumes and all of that. So, you know, the dancing community has been...
Even the people that have loads of class costumes in their possession, loads of costumes in their possession to sell second-hand costumes. They're left with all of those. Moret and Dance City.
Yeah,
people
absolutely. Like it's been huge. It has I mean, in fairness, it has a detrimental effect on dance shows are gone. Brian was in the middle of, Brian, I'll let you take over.
So it was a big change for me as well. I went back, did one more tour. It's tough enough. I went back and did one more tour with Riverdance. We did a tour of America, which I was so lucky to get. So I was supposed to do 5 months, 6-month tour. So I set off in January, and I think by March, the second week in March or third week in March, we did Radio City Music Hall in New York City, which has always been a dream of mine to do, and it was something I wanted to tick off the list before I retired from touring. So we actually got to Radio City Music Hall. We were all so excited. We performed 2 shows in Radio City Music Hall, and then we got our bosses come on stage and basically let us know what was happening around the world and the possibility that the show might be cut. So they were kind of telling us, like, enjoy every show like it's your last show, which we were anyway because it was New York. So I think we did one more show, and by Thursday night the show was cut and we were supposed to be there until the Sunday night. So there was I on top of the world, like performing to sold out crowds in Radio City Music Hall, 7,000 seats, with all my best friends, with all the best dancers in the world. And I knew I was come to the end of my career. And suddenly we were just all on flights home back to like a land of doom and gloom and uncertainty and rain. All gone from our friends, no jobs. Like you said, your times of when you're actually traveling, you become
a miserable picture of Ireland back to doom and gloom.
Not only because of the times, not in general. Usually I'd be so excited to come home. There's no place like home. I always say that. I love coming home to Ireland. Just with the times is what I meant. Like coming back to no job and not knowing what's ahead. So I got back. It was around the time of Linda's birthday, actually. St. Patrick's Day, and a few of us actually ended up kind of getting some symptoms. But we all recovered in the end, so we were all a bit worried about the COVID at the time. But like that, then moving forward. Pardon? Did
you get tested at the time?
Yeah, we got tested and everything was okay.
Yeah, I was tested at the early stages, and I was negative as well. But
we were just worried because, as we said, we were in New York City and we were all together at the time. But thankfully, everything worked out. So then, moving forward. We had no job. We were told that we might be going back on tour in a month's time to finish the tour. But as the days and weeks went by, we kind of knew that this wasn't going anywhere. So everything was cut. So I suppose I was lucky enough to have Zoom classes and Linda to bring me back in as a teacher here, and we've got back into privates. But because apart from dancing, this is the only kind of escape or something like to look forward to that we've had since coming from such a high like Radio City to come to such a low. So it was a big, massive switch. And like that now, Riverdance have no work lined up for the near future. Like there was supposed to be tours at the end of the year in America and China, and as far as I know, they're cancelled for the foreseeable future as well. So they've all been hit, and lots of dancers in different shows I've heard have gone bust, and like performance. Cirque du Soleil I heard is having troubles. Like big shows that have been traveling around for years, they've all got into financial troubles. So it's a very uncertain, kind of scary time for performers. So everyone, I think, is just taking it 1 week at a time.
Yeah. How do you think it's going to pan out, Linda?
I think, Mary, COVID is here and it's here to stay. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think we have to live with it.
I do too.
I think we have to mind ourselves, respect each other, respect people in our community. Me as a teacher, I have to follow the government guidelines, and when the kids come into class, I have to make sure they're sanitizing the hands, clean the bathroom when they use it, clean the chairs when they leave, all of those things. And I know our numbers are increasing and it's scary, but we have far less deaths. There's 0 deaths yesterday. I think 2, don't get me wrong, 2 deaths are too many. 2
deaths too many, but...
but at the same time, it's here. It's here, and we need to get on with our lives.
Build up immunity.
I think there was an awful lot of scaremongering going on with the media, and an awful lot of scaremongering. I mean, if anyone at all is nervous about anything, I'm only speaking on behalf of myself because my mum has an underlying condition. And she was very nervous about the whole thing. I went to the point that I said, "Ma'am, please stop watching the news."
Yeah, that's what you've got to do. Stop watching the news.
Yeah,
that's my.
Yeah, just stop watching it.
I think that it was
fear does more damage than the virus itself.
Fear can do more damage, Mary, and
wall to wall depression every time you turn it on. It's wall to wall.
You know it. But it's what it's going to do to people's mental health.
It is. It's going to.
Now, the one good thing I will say, it's good that they're bringing the children back to school, because
I think so.
There's some sense of normality. And also for those children, like if they were at home being homeschooled, I'd be very fearful of what way it would affect those children when they come into their teenage years and so on. I mean, I had Erin is one of the COVID leaving certs, I'll call her.
Yeah.
Who had been looking forward to an amazing year, everything that comes with doing your leaving cert, your graduation, your DEBs, waiting for your results.
Did she get her results?
No, the results aren't out until the 7th of September, Mary.
Because Charlotte is waiting for hers as well. And you know, I mean, all the hard work they put in to actually do the exam. And I mean, if somebody who's been brought up in a home that's used to competition. You're setting targets for yourself. You worked. Even though Erin was a dancer, she wasn't interested in the dancing. That must have really broken your heart.
Actually, Mary, it didn't. It didn't.
I was thinking Linda would have had her all.
Your whole world is our sense.
No, it didn't. You know what? When she was younger, I bought her. I'll never forget buying her a little leotard and a skirt, and I bought her a small little bun wig and the shoes, the whole lot, because she used to pick up the steps from just coming into class. I never taught the child a step in my life, but she picked you the whole lot. She the reel, the light jig, the hop jig, the hard reel, her St. Patrick's Day, the whole lot, she the whole thing off. And I said, right, we're going to chance her with a competition. And I brought her to Michael Dillon's Fesh. Fesh Mayaher out in the Shannon Shamrock, if you remember. Right?
Great Fesh.
And paid for her entry fee, got her number, the whole lot. Anyway, Michael calls up the competition. It must have been the easy reel under 6. And I said, right now, Pesh, come on up to the side now. And she just looked at me and she said, you want me to dance up there? And I said, yeah, you have to go up onto the stage now to win a medal. And if you're very good, you're going to win a medal, right? And she said, well, I'm not going up there. She said, if somebody wants to give me a medal, they can bring it down here to me, but I'm not going up on that stage. That was it. End of story. I never forced her afterwards. I still have the leotard, I still have the bun wig, and I have the little shoes as a memory.
Linda,
and I actually have the medal that Michael Dillon, in fairness to Michael Dillon, came down from the stage and gave her one of his medals and put it around her. And the bribing, I mean, I was telling her I was bringing her to Smith's on the way home. I was going to buy her whatever she wanted. No.
I'd have had to be, as they say here in Limerick, I'd have had to be dug out of her if she didn't.
It wasn't happening, Mary. It just wasn't happening. So you know what? Back then I gave up. I said no, because if I kept pushing her, it would have put a strain on our relationship, and she would have only resented me more with the dancing. And you know what? There's nothing worth that.
No, there isn't. I'm only kidding, but I would have been. I have to say, I'd have been saying when I had a little girl. Straight away I'd have been picturing her in an Irish dancing costume, and in all the paraphernalia. And then if she said, "I'm not going up there," I had her in plenty of costume,
Mary. I had her in plenty of costume with loads of photographs. Some of the kids that might have been around the same age, actually, Mary Claire too, here, I'll never forget. She had a beautiful little pink dress, and Erin was mad about it. And when Mary Claire kind of grew out of it, Mary gave it to me for Erin. So Erin used to play house in it, around the house. But there was no way she was going up on a stage dancing. That was the end of story and whatever. She was an independent young madam at the time, and she's now a young independent young lady. So
she's very
Great for
studious though.
herself. Look.
yeah, she's very studious, and she's a beautiful voice, Mary. So she is involved in the music. Yeah, she sings, and so
everyone, there's something for everyone, and
there is absolutely.
But you just do hope, as you're an only child, and your daughter's an only child. My mother was an only child, and I'm an only child, and and you have so much, and when you're so passionate about your dancing and that, and for your only child to be a daughter who just doesn't want to dance.
I know, but sure, look, what can you do?
I often think, Jesus, how did Linda Ball have coped? Because I don't know how I'd have coped. Probably wouldn't cope. Do you know? I'd probably when at the end of the day, dancing isn't everything. But it is our lives. But
it is. It is, yeah.
But where to from here now with the two of you? You're back to dancing anyway. Are you in some form?
You know what? It's funny.
Waiting for the guidelines to see what happens with the guidelines.
I run Fresh Éireann every year. Well, I went every second year now, Mary.
Yeah.
So, like, my plan is to run Fresh Éireann in October. But with the guidelines the way it is at the moment, it's impossible. If the guidelines increase it to 100 indoors, I'll have some hope of running it because I can do a strict schedule. So basically, if your allocated time is 10:15, you arrive, you have 15 minutes to warm up, you dance, you get your result, and you leave the building. So there's no hanging around. So it is doable, but not until the guidelines increase it to 100 indoors.
I mean, at the moment, for anyone outside of Ireland, explain the procedure that we're under in this country now, as far as competition. 5, including the teacher, including one teacher.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Now that was we'll say that's what they came up with. But luckily, we're covered under Sports Ireland, I think, that we can teach in pods of 6. So when I say pods of 6, including the teacher, so ideally it's a pod of 5.
Yeah.
Which now, to be honest with you, the way I'm doing my classes right now is we'll say the kids are still getting the same amount of time as in their dancing class, but I'm working longer hours.
Yeah.
So therefore, I have 15, 16 kids. I have to split those into 3 pods.
Yeah.
So what would have taken me probably 2 hours is now taking me 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Which means you have to pay for a hall for 3.5 hours instead of 2 hours.
Exactly.
So
and for a lot of teachers, that's not viable, Mary. No. You know what I mean? Some halls are charging 25 and 30 euros per hour.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, and if you have 5 children, that's crazy. That just wouldn't pay you.
That's roughly 6 euros, 5 euros or whatever a class, and 5, 10, 15.
It's crazy.
That's the 25 euros gone.
Yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20. It's not even. You have to add to it to pay for the hall.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like us as teachers, we only had a chat about it. We were saying we were going to have a meeting to discuss going forward what we can do to keep our kids motivated within our class. And, the grade exams is one way, which is fine because you're not breaking any rules because you've just the examiner and you bring in the kids in 1s or 2s or in their family pod, which is fine.
Well, I know there's kids going up to that fesh up the north.
In Dungannon.
Yeah, there's a fesh going ahead in 3 weeks' time. So that'll be very interesting to see if that can go ahead smoothly.
To see how that works.
Because that will give, I think, everyone a bit of confidence and a bit of joy.
And what's her name in Annie Hall
in California.
Yeah, in California. She ran her fesh, and apparently it went very, very well. And it was.
I heard that. I heard that.
Now Terry and Philip are running theirs, and Myra Waters is giving. It has been working apparently very hard with them to set it up, and hopefully that'll go well. But I don't know of anyone apart from the one up the country now that's gone ahead here in Ireland.
Now I do know Helen Green is planning on running like a dance together festival in Coshnahauna in Ennis, and if it works on the first go, it's something she might plan to run maybe once a month. Now again, it's not a competition.
What do you think of the idea, Linda, of having online competitions? Now, I know there's a lot of talk about it. How do you think it would work? Do you think it would work?
Now, to be honest with you, initially I was totally against it.
Yeah, so
that's the truth.
I was dubious about it. I wasn't against it. I was dubious about it. But I think we're going to have to do something, Linda.
Absolutely. I mean, I read up on, there was a lot of things I had, but what do the kids dance on? Who adjudicate? There was a lot of logistics.
It's out of time, or they're out
exactly.
Of time. Things like that. But you're going to have to make allowances for the music and for the time.
Exactly.
You're going to have to take completely different criteria when you're judging.
Yeah.
But something
Michael Dillon, I saw the proposal that he had up there in group.
Exceptional.
And to be honest with you, I was very impressed by it.
It was exceptional.
So you know what? I am certainly not against. I'm all for anything for us to keep our Irish dancing community alive.
Yeah.
And to keep our children motivated and keep them interested in our culture. They're not going to be motivated
unless they have some form of competition.
Exactly. 100% totally agree with you.
They've been reared with competition. They've been reared to believe that I aim for, I work and work and work because I'm doing a competition at the end of the month or at the end of the week. If they haven't got anything that motivates them, I know I would have given up if I hadn't had competition, because I've always had to focus on either doing an exam or a competition to see how I'm doing.
Yes.
To myself. Most children in competition are like that. So I didn't think that I just thought I'd bring that up to you. But actually, I think you're the first person I've actually brought that question up to, but it just came out of what you were saying.
Yeah. No, I'm all in support of anything that will just get us through this difficult and uncertain time, because that's what it is. And we all have to stay positive. In all the negativity and everything that's going on, even with the government at the moment, Jesus, to do your head in. But the thing is, we all have to hang in there, support each other, and please God, we'll have all these fun days back again. We'll have our competitions back again. We'll have all meeting up at our events back again, and the lovely healthy socializing that we do.
It'll all come back, because I mean, it's irrational to think that we can just wrap ourselves up in cotton wool and hope that we stay in our homes for the rest of our lives until they find a vaccine that we don't know whether it's fully tested, whether it'll suit every single person that's on the planet. Why would you take something that you weren't sure was going to have an adverse effect on you? So I just think, like you, Linda, it's something we're going to have to build up. I know they talked about it in the beginning in Britain about this. Doctors, the specialists were talking about herd immunity and everything, and we kind of laughed at it, scoffed at it at the time.
At the beginning.
I didn't, because I felt, these are doctors, a lot of them, that if you have a child who's very ill here in Ireland and they can't be treated, we send them to Great Ormond Street, or we send them to any of the children's hospitals in the UK. And these doctors were coming out and talking about herd immunity. And I think, I don't know, I just think we're going to have to get back to normal. And as you said, it's a great thing that they're back at school. Children are back.
Yeah, the schools were the biggest test going forward,
because we're just, otherwise we're just going to, mental health is going to be just
affected. Yeah, but there'll be a lot of secondary illnesses, Mary, associated with COVID.
Suicide,
there will.
Because
there will. So
stress,
stress and loneliness and isolation. I mean, I haven't been out of the house. I'll be honest, since it happened, the furthest I've been is down here in the station, and that's only about 5 minutes by car from my house.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've stopped looking at the news because
Yeah.
it's just wall-to-wall depression.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. Totally agree.
You know, I mean, you think the end of the world was coming. And, you know, and you're hearing, oh, there was 3 more people tested positive. And you're saying, yeah, but how many of them died? How many of them were really sick? How many of them were hospitalized?
That's it, you see, Mary. Some of them, but you're Mary, some of the diagnosis, some of the younger people that are getting it, they don't even know they have it.
They don't even know.
I mean, I believe that one young lad involved in GAA was brought to the hospital because he broke his wrist. And because he broke his wrist, they just said, look, we'll just do a COVID test. The young lad himself was as healthy as anything.
He was asymptomatic, yeah.
Asymptomatic. And you know what I mean? Like, so the thing is, I could be sitting here chatting to you and I could have it and not know I have it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sick. I'm not taking up a bed in a hospital. I'm not in ICU, thank God, tip wood. But the thing is, like, this could be...
Yeah, I agree there. If it was a case of, if people heard that ICU admissions were going up rapidly or deaths were going up rapidly, then I would be all for this dramatic lockdown and COVID mania worry. But people just keep hearing the word cases. Cases can just be sniffles or a common cold. So I think that the further this
How many of us have got viruses down? I mean, I was always getting, because I'm asthmatic, I'd be prone to, and I've been in hospital a good lot on nebulizers and oxygen and things like that from asthma. But you're saying to yourself, how many people get the flu, get very bad viruses, and they have really bad reactions to them? And you know, okay, there is no cure at the moment. There is no vaccine. But even if a vaccine came in, it's not going to agree with every human being. And are we supposed to stay realistically? Is everyone supposed to just close the doors of their shops, their businesses, and say that's it? And there's no one to sell the businesses to, and there's no dancing classes to go back to because everyone has given up.
And the economy has gone bust.
Go back to, and children are going to be uneducated. Are we supposed to just give up on life?
No.
You have to be rational and think, you know, be sensible, and as you said, Linda, take care and take all the precautions. Yeah. You know, for goodness sake.
I think that's all what we need to do, Mary, and just move on. And please God, we'll have better, brighter days ahead. And you know,
schools going back is the first step.
Schools going back is the first step.
Yeah.
Definitely is the first step.
Hopefully that gives other people confidence then to try.
I don't know.
It's good for kids. We all need routine.
I don't know if I have a job lecturing. I was talking to my boss the other day, and she said, "Do you know?" She said, "I don't even know if we're back, and neither does her husband, John," because he said to her, "Do you know if we're back next week?" And she said, "I haven't a clue. None. They haven't heard in Mary I what's happening yet." So it's all up and down, and meanwhile,
it is,
you know, people are losing work, people are losing their minds. Because of all of this. You know, there's a far, you know, anyway.
It's tough times. It's tough times. There's no doubt about it. But
it's crazy.
You just get on with it.
The only thing is that you have your Prosecco.
Exactly, Mary.
And it's always Prosecco time.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
When
it has to be somewhere in the world.
I said to Maura Clarkin the other day, "You never brought your drink with you." She said, "It's only such a time during the day." And I said, "But it's 7 o'clock here in Ireland." And she said, "I'd be on my ear." I said, you know, I mean, you should have had it and gone with Irish time. But I knew you
throw in a little bit of orange juice into it, make it a Bucks Fizz, and you don't feel so guilty.
Well, Linda, Brian, the other Brian, thanks ever so much for coming on. You were fabulous. And
Thanks
you're
very
welcome, Mary.
You have some lovely photographs in the background of your...
Yeah, I'm looking at them. They're fabulous. Thanks for putting all that together, Mary. They're beautiful. Great memories looking at them.
I'll put them on.
Listen, can I just say something to you? Just to thank you. for reaching out to people. And, you know, your chat show is fantastic. It's keeping us all going in the dancing community. You've done some fantastic interviews.
Thanks.
So, you know, from us, thank you for everything.
Thanks
Thank
very
you,
much,
Linda.
Mary.
That's lovely.
All right, Mary. God bless.
Bye. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.